go ahead and give everybody some time to get into the meeting and get join the meeting. But while we're waiting, please be sure that you are on mute so that everyone can hear during the presentation. You can use the chat feature to ask questions during the presentation, and we will have somebody monitoring those and answering those questions. Um, Also, you can use the chat feature right now to introduce yourself, talk about your favorite OHC site, or maybe share how many years you've been volunteering. You still have people joining the meeting, so we'll just wait a few more minutes before we go ahead and get started. Please be sure your microphone is on mute. We will have time for question and answers at the end, or you can ask questions using the chat feature during the meeting if you have any questions on anything as I'm talking. We can go ahead and get started.
Recording in progress.
My name is Carol Courtney, and I am one of the volunteer coordinators for Open House Chicago. I am with a company called Hoopla Communications, and Hoopla is working with the CAC again this year to help manage some of the logistics around Open House Chicago, especially volunteer management and site coordination. Also with me on the call is Jennifer Latshaw. She's the program manager at the Chicago Architecture Center. And my Hoopla colleagues, Chris Kowalski, Eva Manzulli, and Nina Wheeler. I first want to start by thanking you again for volunteering for Open House Chicago this year. It does take over 2,000 volunteers to make this festival happen, and we appreciate each and every one of you. During tonight's training, I'll talk a little bit more about Open House Chicago, how you can prepare for Open House Chicago weekend, how you will pick your volunteer shift, what to expect during Open House Chicago weekend as you volunteer for the event. We'll give a reminder of your volunteer benefits, and finally, we'll open it up to questions and answers at the end. Open House Chicago is the Chicago Architecture Center's free annual event that allows visitors to explore hundreds of great places all across the city, many of which are not normally open to the public. We are celebrating our 15th year of Open House Chicago this year, and our festival will take place on Saturday and Sunday, October 18th and 19th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some interesting statistics. Open House Chicago is part of a larger Open House worldwide family with close to 60 events taking place not only in the United States, but all across the globe. So think Open House Barcelona, Open House San Diego. Open House Chicago 2024 attracted over 150,000 guests. This year, we have over 200 sites participating, representing over 20 great Chicago neighborhoods. And finally, you, our volunteers, are absolutely critical to the smooth operation of this festival. It takes over 2,000 volunteers to make it happen, and we definitely could not do it without you. We want to encourage all of you to download the Chicago Architecture Center app. You will go to the App Store, look for the CAC logo, download the app. Open House Chicago information is part of the CAC app, and it is now live and up and running. So take some time to explore the various features of the app. You can search neighborhoods, get information on participating sites, see suggested itineraries based on your particular area of interest. You can also learn about what live events and activities are the people who um, make this event happen. First, our site hosts are the representatives from the company or organization that's participating as a site for OHC Weekend. This can be the building or office manager, parish priest, director of marketing for a company, facilities or building managers, et cetera, et cetera. They could have a variety of different roles. The site hosts are the people who will determine what the visitor experience will look like. That means what areas are open at the site for OHC visitors to explore. The site hosts will also assign the various volunteer roles and responsibilities during OHC weekend, and they are the ultimate authority and final decision maker at the site. New this year at Open House Chicago, we will be having neighborhood headquarter locations, which will be staffed by CAC employees and a trained leadership volunteer. These three headquarter locations are sites, one located on the north, south, and west sides, and they're just places where visitors can get information about Open House Chicago and the Chicago Architecture Center and ask any questions they might have. The other two types of leadership volunteers are our district coordinators and our site captains. District coordinators are responsible for a cluster of 6 to 8 sites in a neighborhood. They will spend their day rotating among all the sites in the district, making sure everything's running smoothly. Site captains are assigned to one busy or more complex site as an added layer of supervision and coordination. So every site has a district coordinator, but not all sites will have a site captain. As volunteer greeters, you will be working most closely with the site captains and district coordinators, and these leadership volunteers are your primary points of contact, and they'll be the liaison between you, the volunteer, the site host, and the CAC staff. If your volunteer location doesn't have a site captain, the district coordinator will be your primary point of contact during OHC weekend. Your site captain or your district coordinator will also be reaching out to you before OHC weekend to confirm your volunteer shift, and they'll provide you with their contact information. So please be sure you keep it handy. Finally, our volunteer greeters, you are the final key person to know for Open House Chicago. Volunteer greeters will work one shift, no more than 4.5 hours long, at one Open House Chicago site. Typical responsibilities will include welcoming and counting visitors, managing lines and crowds, answering general questions about Open House Chicago and about their specific site locations, such as which areas are open, are there washrooms available, et cetera, et cetera. You do not need to be an expert on the site where you're volunteering, just be able to answer basic questions. During your volunteer shift, we ask that you be welcoming, wear a smile, be friendly, and greet all the visitors that come to your site. Have the OHC app open so that you can use it to help guests. We ask that you're flexible during your volunteer shift and be willing to help wherever is needed. We may even ask you if you'd be willing to move to a nearby site that might be able to use additional help. I also want to mention very special volunteers, which are our floater volunteers. We always have such a big need for our volunteer floaters. These critical volunteers are not signing up to volunteer at a specific site, but they are willing to go wherever is needed during Open House Chicago weekend. So if you sign up to be a volunteer floater, you are on call during the first hour and a half to 2 hours of the shift. And then as we get calls from the site hosts, the site captains, or the district coordinators letting us know that extra volunteer help is needed, we will send you off to those sites. You can sign up to be a floater volunteer for a specific neighborhood. So if you live in the West Side, downtown, we will be only sending you to sites in those neighborhoods. The downtown floaters will come to the Chicago Architecture Center at the start of their shifts, and then as calls for additional help come in for a downtown location, we will dispatch you from the CAC. Our neighborhood floaters, who are our north side, south side, and west side floaters, you all will stay at home, but you are on call for the first 2 hours of the shift. And then we will reach out to you by phone or by text, letting you know about sites in the neighborhood that need your help, and you will be sent on your way. If you're a floater and you haven't been assigned after 2 hours, great, everything is running smoothly. So we will reach out to you to let you know that help is not needed, and you can use that time to go out and experience Open House Chicago. The list of sites participating this year for Open House Chicago has been announced. You can check the CAC app or the CAC website for a full list of sites participating this year. It's really helpful to learn about the neighborhoods that we're highlighting this year and to review the participating sites located in each neighborhood before you pick your volunteer shift. If you're still thinking about where you might want to volunteer, Jennifer Latshaw, who is the program manager at the Chicago Architecture Center, will share a few of her recommendations.
Hello. So I went through and I looked at sites that wanted a lot of volunteers, so that's kind of part of how I narrowed this down. The first two are new. The first one is the Aspire Center in the Austin neighborhood. It's a brand new community center that focuses on like job training and how to professional improvement, but it's a brand new state of the art facility. I have not been down there myself, but the photos are absolutely gorgeous. So I highly recommend volunteering there. Lathrop Homes is in the Lakeview neighborhood on Clybourne and Diversey, I believe, and it was public housing, and now it's kind of a mixed income development, and they've restored and preserved a lot of the old apartments. You can see a really cool model apartment, and it's also a huge campus. They're on right on the river there. There's actually Riverwalk space that you've probably driven over before if you drive around Lincoln Park, Lakeview. So it's a really cool, like, hidden in the neighborhood spot to hang out. And then the Avalon Regal is in the South Shore neighborhood, and it's an atmospheric theater, meaning that it's just like really, really cool inside. It's very decorative, and um, as we say here, it was where the presidential victory party was held in 2008, and it is reopening soon. So it's a cool way to get in and see it um, before it reopens again.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I will talk a little bit about choosing your volunteer shift for OHC weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Carol. My name is Ava. I work at Hoopla, and I'm going to tell you about how to select a shift for OHC. So, first thing, of course, you're all going to be able to pick your own shift, including the day, time, and location. We are going to open shift selection on Wednesday, October 8th. So you should all expect to receive an email that morning sometime between 8 and 10 a.m. With a link that'll bring you to the site where you can select your shift. I think Carol already mentioned we have over 200 sites this year, so it's really important that you all, select your shift and spend some time going through those sites to have an idea of where you'd like to volunteer ahead of time. We will say that the shifts fill up quickly and it is first come, first serve, meaning whoever signs up first will have priority. So, like I said, spend some time going through that list of sites and know where you want to volunteer ahead of the morning of shift selection. Um, I should also mention that I know some of you want to volunteer more than once or for more than one shift. In this first round of shift selection, we will only be allowing one registration, but we will open it up for two at a later date. We just want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to pick their favorite site. So, Carol, you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Like I said, you'll be getting an email the morning of October 8th. The most important part here is that each email is going to be case sensitive, meaning it's associated to you specifically. So if you're trying to sign up with a friend or family or something, just know you will all need to have your own emails registered within our database to make sure you each get the right link in order to register. Um, you're all here, meaning you've been getting our emails about trainings and things, but if you have a friend who hasn't been or they're just unsure, let us know that we can double check that their email is correct in our system so that come the morning of shift selection, they will be able to make their choice. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the first step is going to be choosing a neighborhood. So all of the sites are going to be broken up by neighborhood first. So you'll click on the link, you'll be brought to this page. You're going to click add. And then the next slide will show you our drop down. So Carol was talking a bit about being a volunteer floater. This is where you would choose that, but if you already have a specific neighborhood in mind that you'd like to volunteer at, this is where you're going to make that selection. Once you choose your neighborhood, you will be able to go to the next slide, please, where you'll see, oh, sorry, one more, Carol. Thanks. You'll see a full drop down of all of the sites in the neighborhood. So we're going to break down what you're kind of seeing here because I know it's a lot of information. So you're going to see first the name. So in this case, it's the Ingersoll Black Welder House. The next part you're going to see in this is the date and the time of your shift. And then the last thing, or sorry, the second to last thing you'll see is whether or not the shift requires you to stand or if you'll be able to have a seat. For those of you who have any accommodations or if you need seating, just make sure you pay attention to this part specifically and make sure you pick a shift that you'll be comfortable in. And then the last thing you're going to see is how many slots are still available in that shift. If they're fully closed up, like if it were to say 0 out of 3, that's how you know the shift is full. And if you're looking for a specific site and it's not there, it's probably because it's already filled up. And then the next thing you're going to do, you're just going to click on it, click the site that you'd like to volunteer at, and you'll be brought to the final slide where it's going to show you an overview of everything. So you'll have the shift that you selected. This should have your email address. It's very important that you don't change that. And then, of course, your first and last name as well. I just want to call out in a previous training, a lot of folks asked if you'll be able to view the address of the site once you're in the neighborhood. And the answer to that is no. As you see here, you have the site name, date, time, it's seated, if there's volunteers, but the address itself won't be here in this page when you're going to sign up. So, like I said, it's very important that you look at the site list ahead of time and have a few in mind and know where they are so that on the morning of shift selection, you're able to go ahead and get it confirmed. And then once you do confirm your shift, you will get a confirmation email that says, "Thank you for selecting your shift." Um, and it'll have a summary of everything. If there's any problems, like you realize you picked the wrong shift or you changed your mind, you want to go somewhere else, you can give us a call. The number is here. So it's 464 733 2612, and we'll help you. We'll help you change it. We can help you modify or pick something else as well. Um, and again, I just want to reiterate for folks who are volunteering with other people or they would like to, just know that you both will need to be doing this at the same time from separate emails. So you won't be able to pick a shift together from one email. You both need to have your own. You both need to know which site you'd like to be at, and you will need to go through this registration process together on the morning of shift selection. So the final thing after this, like I said, you'll get a kickback email with a confirmation, and you'll also receive in that email um, a priority access pass. Sorry, Carol, you can go to the next slide. You'll receive your priority access pass for you and a buddy, and then after OHC, you'll get an email with some more benefits that we'll go over later in this presentation. I saw a few of you talking about shirts that you have from OHC. If this is your first year or not and you'd like a new shirt, come by and get one. We will be at the CAC at 111 East Wacker many days this month and next month. So take a look at the full list here. And then if you can't come to any of those, we will also be at Hoopla Communications at 908 North Damon in Ukrainian Village later on in October as well. So come by, get your shirt. Preparing for the weekend in general, wear that shirt. If you have last year's, previous years, those are fine too. Just make sure you have your OHC shirt. And sorry, there we go. Like I said, you might be outside in some cases. We've been really lucky this year with some nice weather. I hope it's still nice in a few weeks, but if not, just prepare for that. Don't bring too much stuff. You probably won't have a place to store it necessarily, so pack light. Eat before or bring a snack, bring some water, and then have the OHC app or CAC app rather downloaded in case guests have questions about where else they can go that weekend. And it'll also help you to know too what's going on around you. It'll be a lot of fun. And speaking of things going on around you, we just want to bring it to your attention that there are going to be some other big events happening the weekend of OHC that are on our radar. So, specifically on Saturday, we know that there's going to be a No Kings rally and march downtown somewhere. The exact route is not confirmed, but we know it is happening that day. So if you're volunteering downtown, just be aware that that'll be going on. And then on Sunday, the Bears are playing the Saints at Soldier Field. So if you have a volunteer shift in that area, please expect longer commute times and large crowds in the area. And that is pretty much it for picking a shift. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I will answer them, and we'll also be sending out this recording. So if anything was unclear, just let us know. But thanks again for helping out, and we'll continue on.
Thanks, Ava. We now want to talk a little bit about what you can expect during your volunteer shift. One of the most important volunteer duties is counting attendance at the site. We do this manually with a clicker counter. This should be located at the welcome table near the site entrance. So when you arrive for your shift, please confirm if you or another volunteer will be counting the attendance. If you are counting attendance, you should count all visitors, including children and priority access pass holders. We do not want to count CAC staff or the district coordinators. That's your leadership volunteer. Since this is a manual process, so it's a good idea to periodically write down the time and the attendance count on the clicker tally sheet or just a blank piece of paper in case the clicker gets lost or reset. And finally, if it's closing time at the site, you'll write down the final attendance count on the clicker tally sheet, and you can leave that on the table with your site host or your site captain, and they will upload it to the Chicago Architecture Center. Another volunteer responsibility is crowd management. Some sites are limited to the number of volunteers that can be inside at a given time. Your site host or your site captain will make sure you're aware of capacity. When maximum capacity is reached, you will have to have additional visitors queue up outside, and then you can use a one in, one out policy, whereas one or two guests leave, another one or two people can be admitted from the line. Also, be sure you're monitoring your site for any pinch points where crowds can form. This is especially important if there's an elevator where people, visitors will be taking elevators from one floor to the next as they visit the site. You should definitely monitor elevators both at the top and bottom with a volunteer greeter so that we are sure they are not getting overloaded. It's so important during your volunteer shift that you are communicating. If there's an emergency, medical, life-threatening, please call 911 as your first response. Then you will want to alert the site host, the site captain, and the district coordinator about what's taking place. Um, so last year, as an example, there was somebody waiting in line to get into a site and they fainted. So the site captain called 911 first and then called us at the CAC headquarters to let us know what had happened. So 911 is always your first response for any life-threatening or medical emergency. Um, if there's any other issues at the site, please let your site host or your site captain know. We are able to make adjustments on site. So if you see that it's especially busy, we can assign more volunteers to that site for the next day. Let us know about any issues at the site so that we are able to either make adjustments for this year's Open House Chicago weekend. We can make a change from Saturday to Sunday, or we can make a change for next year. Okay, Ava talked a little bit about the Priority Access Pass. This is something that allows visitors to an OHC site to get to the front of the line so they are able to enter the site more quickly. Priority Access Pass is one of your volunteer benefits, so we will send that out to you after you select your volunteer shift, and you can use it to get you and a friend to jump to the front of the line or to enter a busy site quicker than the general public. So visitors with a priority access pass or Chicago Architecture Center memberships are able to take advantage of priority access. So this slide just shows some photos of what the priority access pass might look like this year or what you can expect to see for proof of a CAC membership. This can be digital, they can show you on their phone the priority access pass or the CAC membership, or they can bring a hard copy. If somebody signs up day of Open House Chicago for CAC membership, that does give them priority access pass. So any type of CAC membership does qualify for priority access. So let's talk about how you'll admit guests who have a priority access pass or who are CAC members. If your site is only moderately busy or just has a short line, and visitors come and show their priority access pass or their CAC membership card, they should be admitted to the site right away. If your site is busy, and there's a long line formed, the site host might want to create a second priority access only line. So you, as the volunteer greeter, should make sure that the priority access line at your site is shorter and moving more quickly than the general access line. So be sure you're admitting more people out of priority access line so that it's moving more quickly. If you find that the priority access line is getting as long as the general access line, just start allowing more people from priority access to enter the site so that it's moving more quickly. If you're volunteering for Open House Chicago on the first shift of the day, your shift is designed to start 15 minutes before the site opens. There is no need for you to come early, but please be sure that you're planning ahead and that you're on time for your shift, um, so that you are able to help the site host or the site captain get set up for the day. When you arrive, you'll want to check in with your site host or your site captain to let them know you're there. They can give you any site information that you need to know, and you can learn what your volunteer responsibility will be during your shift. When your shift is over, please wait until your replacement arrives before you leave for the day. If it's within 15 minutes of their start time and you haven't seen him yet, please first call your district coordinator to let them know that nobody has come yet to replace you. The first and second shifts are designed to overlap by 15 minutes. So when your replacement gets there, let them know how things are going and give them any important information they might need to know during their shift. Finally, before you leave for the day, please check in with your site host or your site captain or your district coordinator before your leave. As I mentioned, the second shift of the day is specifically designed to overlap with the first shift, so please be sure you allow enough time to arrive, and check in with the volunteer from the first shift to debrief. The second shift or the closing shift does end 15 minutes after the site officially closes, so please stay to help your site host with any tasks needed to break down the site or close it up for the night. This could include things like taking down signage, putting away materials, etc., etc. If you're a second shift volunteer, you can leave all materials at the site with the site host or the site captain. There is nothing that needs to be returned to the Chicago Architecture Center at the end of the day. Be sure the site host or the site captain has the attendance tally sheet so that they could upload the final attendance for the day. And finally, before you leave, please just check in to be sure there is nothing further you can do to help before you leave. If you're on the second shift of the day and it's getting close to closing time and there's still a long line at your site, it might be necessary to cap the line so that the site can close on time. So if there's a long line about an hour before the site is scheduled to close, check with the site host or the site captain to make a decision about whether or not you'll need to cap the line. If we decide it's necessary to do this, what you'll do is you will station a volunteer greeter in their red OHC volunteer t-shirt at the end of the line, and you'll just simply wait there, and as new visitors arrive, simply let them know that they won't be allowed to visit this site. The line is capped to allow the site to close on time. We don't want to say the site is closing early. We just want to say that the line is long enough so that nobody else who waits in the line will be able to visit the site. That's the end of our formal presentation. We will now open this up to question and answers. So please feel free to take yourselves off mute and ask any questions to the group as a whole. Chances are, if you have a question, other people have the same ones. So anything that you're not clear on, please, now's your chance.
I have a question.
Sure.
A couple maybe. So if you're willing to be one of the floaters that you spoke of,
Mhm.
you have to, at one point you said you pick a neighborhood, and at another point you said, oh, you have the whole north side. Are you allowed to pick a neighborhood that you're a floater at?
Well, it's an area. So our floaters, when you see that, when you see your shifts and you click, I want to be a floater, when you click that shift, you'll see a drop down menu. And then you can say, I want to be a downtown floater. And then it is like the other neighborhood floaters, or you'll specify north side, south side, or west side. So you can't say, I want to be a floater in Lincoln Square. You would just have to say, I want to be on the north side. And we would reach out to send you to any site on that north side that would need extra help.
Okay. And then a couple more questions about that. So if you're on call for the first couple of hours,
Hmm.
and then if you get called in, do
Yes.
you does your 4 hours start once you get there? Does your 2 hours include that?
Yeah, that's included. So if you said, I want to be a downtown, well, if you wanted to be a downtown floater, you would be at the Chicago Architecture Center. So the shift would already have started, and then that is typically when we would get the call from the district coordinator or the site host to say, hey, somebody didn't show up. So we would dispatch you, and you would only be responsible for that 4 hours in that shift. So if you were waiting for an hour before you got dispatched, yeah, that does count. So you would not be expected to work an additional 4 hours. If you're west, like let's say you're a west side floater and you live in an area on the west side, you could either go out and explore some of the west side neighborhoods of Open House Chicago, just be available by phone, or you could wait at home and wait for our call. Like I said, if the shift was like say 9:45 to um 12:45 or whatever 4 hour shift would be, you would only be expected to be on call for the first hour and a half to 2 hours, and then to work the remainder of the shift. Does that make sense?
It does. I have two more questions. I'm sorry.
Sure. No,
So,
great.
and then, so is there a certain amount of time that you have to make it to that site? So, like, if I live on the north side, should I maybe not pick south side?
Yes, if you live on the north side, definitely don't pick pick a north side floater shift.
Okay.
So that allow you to get there quickly. We just ask that we're certainly reasonable. I mean, you might live, we could send you to an uptown neighborhood, and that might be a little bit of a commute for you. So, we don't expect you to be there in 5 minutes.
I guess that was the thing that concerned me most is okay, if I said north side and I was going to Lincoln Park, it might take a while to find the parking, obviously.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're just, reasonable expectation that you get there as soon as you can. We just appreciate your flexibility and willingness to be a floater, because those are always in critical need. And we often don't have enough. I will also say, this is a good time to mention that if you do sign up to be a volunteer floater, we do give you an added benefit. You're able to select a free CAC program that you can take advantage of. You just have to use it before the end of the year. So that's an additional benefit for our volunteer floaters.
I have
This is
one more
Chris.
question. Oh, sorry, one more question
what-
about the floater. I promise it's my last one.
Okay.
No.
But if I have somebody, my partner, he's volunteering with me. If I'm a floater, we probably can't float together, correct?
Likely no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Typically we only need like maybe, sometimes we need multiple floaters, but that's not typically the case.
Okay. All right. Thank
But-
you so much.
Yeah, and for floaters, we're on the phone with you. Like we can talk about how far away you are from some place. And while we're on the phone, we might hear that there's another place that needs your help. So there's a lot of back and forth the day of the fest. I'm sure those of you who are in this room who volunteered with us know the value of flexibility from your work with us in the past.
I have a question.
Sure.
It sounds like you really need floaters. Are there specific locations in the past where you feel like, oh man, we really need people here, and we just typically we don't get enough?
Honestly, we do always struggle to find a south side or west side volunteers. So if you are thinking about, if you're open to exploring a new neighborhood, south and west side
Mm-hmm.
are great opportunities, or south and west side floaters are
Mm-hmm.
always needed.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, good question, Susan.
I have a question about the floaters. Where is the headquarters in the CAC? What-
It's in the lecture hall at the Chicago Architecture Center.
Good, thank you.
So yeah, so if you sign up to be a downtown floater, you would just come to the CAC, hang out with us in the lecture hall as the shifts get started, and then we would dispatch you to a downtown site from there.
I have a question regarding the shift. How long is the shift? Because in the prior email, it was mentioned that shift was 3.5 to 5 hours, and today is mentioned that it's 4.5 hours. Are the shifts changing based on site by site, or it's 4.5 hours?
No, they do change from site to site. And why that is because our official OHC hours are 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., which gives us typically 2 volunteer shifts. However, the sites don't have to be open those hours. We only ask the sites to be open for a total of 7 hours over OHC weekend. So maybe if it's a site that's a church, as an example, and they want to have their services in the morning, they might only be open from noon to 5 on Sunday, or so the site hours are different. So you will see that volunteer shift hours when you are picking your shift. So it will specifically give you the shift times that you'll be selecting. But if you want to see which sites are open or what hour sites are open, all that information is on the website and the app. Also, I should mention that um, um, some sites are only open on Saturday, some are only open on Sunday. So checking out the app or the website is really helpful before you head into shift selection. You might pick a site. You might want to volunteer on Saturday and have a short list of sites, and you think, okay, I'm going to volunteer at Bank of America Tower on Sunday, but that site is closed on Sunday. It's not open to OH for Open House Chicago. So have a short list of sites that you know are open on the day you'd like to volunteer as you head into shift selection, so that when it does open up, you'll be able to, go through the process quickly. I also want to mention that not all sites ask the CAC to provide them with volunteers. So let's just say, for an example, you pick a site in Hyde Park and that's on your short list to volunteer, and you really want to go there. Not every site will ask us for volunteers. So if you choose your neighborhood and you expect to see a certain site appear, if you don't see it, it means either A, all the shifts there are full, or it could also mean that they did not ask us for any volunteers. They are going to manage OHC weekend with their own staff and their own volunteers.
Apologies. I can't figure out how to chat. Actually, I haven't figured out anything in this Zoom. My question is, when the Hunger Games open up on October 8th at 8 a.m., am I starting on the website or the app?
You'll look for an email. Check out the website and the app before shift selection. But when on October 8th, you'll get the email, and then that will give you the link to log in to select your shift.
Okay.
So you'll have to kind of have an idea of which neighborhood you want first, and then which sites in that neighborhood.
Okay. I just wasn't sure how to start. I had an alarm that went off and I had to walk away for that moment. Thank you.
Sure.
I actually have another question.
Sure.
It gives some of the dates that you can do the t-shirt pickup, and some of them are before you would actually go online and select your site. How will they know when we go there to pick it up that we are on the list? Are they going to look on our email or?
Anybody who's a registered volunteer got the information for t-shirt pickup. So technically you could pick up you have opportunities to pick up your shirt before you pick a site or shift.
Yeah.
And they'll just know, they'll see our email. Okay.
Yep. Your name is in the database. When you come in to pick up your shirt, we check you off. You have given a t-shirt size, but if you look at it and say, oh gosh, I asked for a small, but they look like it looks like I'm a medium, you can switch your size.
Yeah.
You can also pick up a shirt for a friend. So if you're volunteering with a friend or your husband or your spouse, you can pick up their shirt as well. So you'll just have to give the name and the t-shirt size of the person you'd like to pick up for. Also, the shirts are a slightly different design this year, but since so many of you are repeat volunteers, you are more than welcome to wear a t-shirt from a previous year, be green, and wear an older t-shirt too. That's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? We will send out a recording of this training that you can watch. Also, I did see in the chat, somebody asked about a hard copy. I sent out a volunteer greeter information packet, which has a lot of this information in it. So if you want us to resend that to you, I'm happy to do that. Also, the week before shift selection, we will send out a specific deck of slides going through outlining step by step how you'll pick your shift. So please be on the lookout for that email to come like around October 1st. So you'll have a chance to review all that, have a physical copy of the shift selection slides before we open up shift selection on the 8th.
Well, this is Chris. I just want to thank Carol and Ava for your presentation and for all your curious minds that are out there tonight. And thank you for volunteering for Open House Chicago. And you know where to find us. Well, we've been talking to many of you via phone and of course via email, and we'll be available as other questions come up for you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for volunteering.
Yay.
Recording stopped.